Hello students, welcome to YouTube channel Vidya for Success. Dear students, in this video, let us study a new concept of object-oriented programming, a very useful concept that will be there in all the object-oriented programming language. So, this particular concept is referred as inheritance. So, this concept is referred by the name inheritance. So, what is inheritance? We may not be knowing this concept with respect to the field of computers, that too with respect to the field of programming. We may not be knowing what is inheritance, but we are very much aware what is inheritance with respect to the mankind. So, here please notice here what is an inheritance. It is nothing but a way, or you can refer it as a process or a mechanism where a particular individual will be going to inherit certain properties from his parents, forefathers. And that property is referred as inheritance. So, here let us consider an example. You know there are animals like lion, tiger, leopard, cheetah. All of them are having different abilities, they work in different environment, but we treat each one of these animals, that is lion, tiger, leopard and cheetah, all of them will be referred as they belong to the family cat. So, all of them belong to the same family, the family name is cat. But here lion, it has drawn some of the properties from the family of cat, and along with not only drawing, it has done some improvement. Same thing with tiger as well, same thing with leopard as well as with cheetah. So, in this particular chapter, we are going to study how to use the existing properties, or how to use it and how to enhance it. So, that will be studied in this particular chapter. Let us say we have been approached by a company to develop a smartphone. Smartphone is not a new concept for us nowadays. Earlier it may be a very new novel concept, but now it is not a thing. If we have been asked to develop a new smartphone within a given period of time, yes, we can do that, because already a lot of development R&D has been done in this particular area. We will be using the existing ideas and models, and we will be doing little tinkering work. We will be adding few extra features to that. That's all. Nothing but we are reducing the time of development. How can we do that? How are we going to achieving this reduction in time? Very simple. We are not developing everything from the scratch. We are using whatever there earlier, and we are improving it. We are saving time, lot of time, money. So, this particular concept, that is inheritance, will help us to understand, to study, and to get a knowledge how to use the existing properties of a particular class and how to derive a new class. That is what all we are going to study in this particular chapter, inheritance. So, that is why I told you inheritance is one of the beautiful topic to study, as well as it is very important in the world of programming. So, what is inheritance? What is the textbook definition for inheritance? So, inheritance is nothing but a mechanism of deriving a new class from acquiring the properties and behavior of an existing class. So, please notice here, let us say that there is a class by the name cat. From this class, a new class will be derived. Let me refer it by the name lion. Let me refer it by the name lion. Okay. A new class, that is a new derived class, will be deriving some of the properties of the existing class. This is what inheritance is. Once again, I repeat the definition. What is inheritance? inheritance is the property, or it is a mechanism, or it is a process of deriving a new class from an existing class. At the time of deriving a new class, we can use the existing properties of the base class, or we can also go with adding some more specialities to a new derived class. This is what inheritance is. Okay. Now, let us understand what are the advantages of inheritance. So, there are few important advantages. Among them, the first advantage is reusing existing code. Reusing existing code. That's what is a necessity for a person to develop a program at a faster rate within a given period of time. Already we might have developed a particular class with all the data members and member functions with all the specialization, but suddenly we need to develop one more class of the same kind but little change, then you need not have to build it from the scratch. Already there is one class, you need to use it and you need to do little bit more specialization or customization. So, in case if we want to reuse an existing code, that can be implemented via the concept of inheritance. That is the first advantage. Similarly, the second advantage of inheritance is faster development time. Faster development time. So, what do you mean by faster development time? As I told you, in real world, each and every gadgets, they are not developed from the scratch. They might have conceived certain ideas, certain business module from some other sources or some other gadgets. They are just going to enhance it. The same thing here also. If I want to minimize, or else if I want to bring down the time of developing a particular project or whatever the gadget or software, hardware, whatever the thing, then that can be achieved via inheritance. Inheritance will make sure a faster development time is achieved. The third advantage of inheritance is easy to maintain. Easy to maintain. So, what do you mean by easy to maintain? Once we develop a particular lines of instruction or a module, always we will be testing it rigorously, so that that module or a software or a whatever the thing, it has to work at all the given environment. It needs to work at different scenarios. Then only that particular instruction or a module or a software, whatever you call it, then we refer it as a very good one. Or else it will be completely discarded, it will be having a lot of loopholes, it is of no use. So, already you have developed one module or a class, that class is working to the satisfaction of the user, or else it is working 100% without any defect. Then you want to derive one more class by using the same properties or same specialization or data members, then you are investing very little time to debug, to make certain changes. That is what easy to maintain is meant by. Okay. So, you are spending very little time first of all, and you will not be wasting too much time in the case of maintenance. So, that is another advantage. Similarly, the fourth advantage of inheritance is easy to extend. Easy to extend. So, already I told you what is inheritance. Inheritance may be a new phenomenon in the field of programming, but inheritance was there in human being, in all the animals from time immemorial. So, if I am a individual, or else if a child is born, the child will be inheriting certain properties from his parents or from certain generations. Some of them may be exhibited, some of them may be suppressed. But they will be carrying certain traits from his parents or from his forefathers, from different generations. So, after inheriting, if I want to extend some newer features or characteristic, always that is a possibility. For example, my parents, my forefathers, they were not knowing how to programming, how to coding, how to use computers, but I have used their characteristics. But now I am specializing. Now I have learned my new way of programming. I am learning coding. I am learning how to use. I write a program. So always there is a chance of extending with the help of inheritance. Similarly, the final advantage of inheritance is memory utilization. Memory utilization. So, what is meant by memory utilization? Always we should write a program so that it occupies very little memory. If it occupies very little memory, then it can execute at a very faster rate. If I have to derive too many classes, if I have to derive too many fresh classes from the scratch, then it will consume too much memory. On the other hand, I will be using one base class. From that class, I will be creating new classes. I will be using its property, the earlier property of the base class, and will be deriving new classes. Then I need not have to waste too much of memory. I will be utilizing the memory in a good way. So, these are all the 5 important advantages of inheritance. The first advantage is reusing existing code. Second one is faster development time, and the third one is easy to maintain, fourth is easy to extend, and the fifth one is memory utilization. Now, let us understand how to define. Already we know how to define a class. Defining a class is not a big problem now, but now we need to define a derived class. So, there will be a class. Let me refer this class as cat. From this class, I will be inheriting some of the properties and I will be creating a new class. For example, let the class be tiger. So, this is the base class. From this class, I am deriving a new class. So, this is referred as a new class is referred as the derived class. Okay. So, now let us understand how to define it. Before studying the syntax or general format of defining a new class, that is derived class, let us understand 2 terminologies. One is base class, another one is derived class. So, what is base class? Here in our example, cat is a base class. Base class is nothing but the class whose properties are inherited by other classes. So, all the other new classes, they will be acquiring, they will be deriving the properties of the earlier class. This earlier class is referred as a base class. Okay, here the class cat, this is a base class. In some textbooks, base class are also referred by the name superclass, or also referred as parent class. Okay. So, what is base class? The class whose properties are derived by other class are referred as base class. Then what is this new class referred as? This new class is referred by the name derived class. It is referred as derived class. So, what is the definition now? What is a derived class? The class which inherits the properties of other class. The class which inherits the properties, which takes the properties of other class is called as derived class. This derived class is also referred by the name subclass, or it is also called child class. Okay. So, now I hope you have come to a understanding how to call a new class, the new class will be referred by the name derived class. Earlier class which is already derived, it is referred as base class. Okay. So, in object oriented programming, if you are working with inheritance, always there is a chance of two classes. The first class, which is foremostly defined, they are referred as base class. Later derived classes are referred as derived class. Okay. Now, let us understand the definition, what is the syntax or general format of defining a derived class. So, the syntax or general format of defining a derived class. It starts with the keyword class. Since it is a keyword, it should be written in lowercase, followed by derived class name, followed by a single colon. Next, it will be followed by visibility mode. It will be followed by visibility mode, followed by this base class name. Okay. So, what is the header of derived class definition? It starts with the syntax class, followed by that it will be having a new name, that is derived class name, followed by single colon, followed by that visibility mode. Sorry, I have done a mistake here, visibility, visibility mode, followed by that visibility mode, it will be continued with base class name. Next, all the data members or class members are nothing but data members and member functions put together. They are kept within a pair of curly braces, and later it will be terminated by semicolon. Okay. So, here we can have class members. What is class member? Data member and member functions, both of them put together, they are referred as class members. So, what is the actual syntax or general format for deriving a new class? So, the class A using inheritance is, first we start with the keyword class. So, already we know class is a keyword, so it should be written in lowercase, followed by derived class name. So, we will be calling a new name, we need to go with a new class name. So, that is derived class name, followed by a single colon. What does single colon indicates? It says that we are building an association between a new class and an old class. Old class is base class and a new class is derived class. Okay, nothing but it indicates that we are going for inheritance, and followed by that there will be a visibility mode. Visibility mode, it can be either private, it can be public, or it can be protected. Anyone out of three, you can go with anyone. Okay. So, if none of them are mentioned, neither private or public or not even protected is there, it means it is a private visibility. Okay. By default, it will be private. So, here we will be going with visibility mode. So, what does visibility mode indicate? It says what all properties or what all data members and member functions are accessible from the base class. Okay. So, we are deriving certain properties from the base class to the derived class. Sometimes we can derive all the properties of the base class. Sometimes we cannot derive all the properties from the base class. So, we will be applying certain restrictions, certain conditions are imposed. How are you going to impose these conditions? Depending upon the visibility mode. So, there are three visibility mode. You can go with the private inheritance, you can go with public inheritance, or else you can go with protected inheritance. Okay. So, this is what visibility mode meant by. Next, followed by base class name. So, we will be deriving a new class from an existing old previous one base class. So, that name will be from which particular class we are deriving. So, that name we need to specify here, and it should not be terminated by semicolon. And within a pair of curly braces, we will be referring to all the lines of instructions or a new data member or member functions which will be used will be kept here within this pair of curly braces. Later it will be terminated by semicolon. Okay. So, this is the way to define a derived class. Now, let us consider an example. Okay. So, example for derived class. Example for derived class. Please notice here. Example. Let us say always the so derived class syntax, it starts with class followed by, let us say that there is a base class by the name father. Within private access specifier, let us store the name of the father followed by his age. Okay. Next, within public access specifier, let us also hold certain data regarding number of boys, that is male child is having, similar number of girls, that is female child is having. Okay. Let us go with this. Followed by this, let us also consider two member function. First is void get data is the first function. Void display is another member function. Okay. So, this is a base class. Please notice here. Now, let us define a derived class. So, it starts with the keyword class followed by derived class name is son. Purposefully I am writing it in uppercase, followed by single colon. Single colon indicates that inheritance is happening, followed by visibility mode. Let the visibility mode be, let us consider it as public. Let us go with public inheritance. Public inheritance. Followed by this, let us consider son. It is derived from which particular class? It is derived from the class father. Okay, from the class father. Along with that, if I want, I can consider certain other things like followed by character. Here in public, let us also consider address. Let us say address of 25. This is also another data member in public access specifier. Okay. So, now let us define this. So, we are trying to define this class son now. Within private, I will be first considering the name of the son. So, that is why I will be going with character data member. Followed by that, I will be considering integer. I would like to know his age. So, son age. Followed by that, within public, I will be going with, followed by this integer, character DSG, that is designation, in which designation is working, followed by that integer salary. Okay. Let me terminate the class here. Okay. So, this class, this class father is a base class, class son is a derived class. So, what type of inheritance? We are going with public inheritance. Okay. Public inheritance means we can access these public data members and member functions. We cannot access private data members, cannot be accessible. Okay. So, this is the example for defining a derived class. It starts with the keyword class followed by derived class name, single colon, visibility mode and base class name. Okay, and within the pair of curly braces we will be keeping all the other data members and member functions. I hope you have understood this. With this, I will be ending this video. Thank you.